I got it? Okay. Hi, everybody. For those of you who are at the retreat, God bless your service. For those of you who are sick, God bless your recovery. Please stand. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession, was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise now my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. All right. Hold tight. Near the end of the hour, I will try and work out maybe a problem or two if anybody gets stuck on the diagonal hyperbolas on graphing those. If not, great. I want to talk a bit about general conic equation. I gave this to you once before, right at the beginning of the chapter. And I gave you some of the notes that you need for today. Well, tomorrow, really. But I'm going to refresh your memory today. The general form for any conic looks like this. Capital A, x squared, plus capital B, xy, plus capital C, y squared, plus capital D times x, plus capital E times y, plus f equals 0. Every single conic can be written in this form if you expand it out. Some of them you have to like expand out the square of the first, double bracket, square of the last, and such. But every single conic can be written in this form. So, if something is written in this form, for example, try that. 5x squared plus 3xy plus 4y squared minus 135 is equal to 0. My question is, and this may come as a surprise, what shape does that look like, first of all? Okay. If you had to take a guess, what shape would you expect it to be? An ellipse. Why did you say that? Yeah, they're both squared, x and y, different coefficients, but they're both plus. So that looks like an ellipse. As it turns out, this weird term we've never run into before as far as graphing these things. And actually, we're not going to graph these this year. There is an optional section where you can graph these things with x, y's. It's a little on the complicated side. I did it once. It was actually in college. I'll explain what it does near the end of the hour. But for now, your assignment for this assignment is not to graph and not even to analyze. It's just to say, what shape is it? That's pretty much the only. You're going to have like 12 of those. But the problem is, this term throws off everything. This term ruins our ability to recognize the shapes by sight. In other words, if there's an XY term, or they sometimes call it a B term because of the B in front, then our ability to just look at this and find out what shape it is has been destroyed through no fault of our own. XY term just throws everything into chaos. There is another way to do it. You may have a vague memory of this. in the quadratic formula is b squared minus 4ac with small b, small a, small c. This is the same formula. It's b squared minus 4ac. It's the discriminant. But I'm going to call this quote unquote escape strength. What do I mean by escape strength? Well, pretend that you're encased in a bubble made of whatever. And we're going to gauge if you're strong enough to break out. You've got two fists, and you could theoretically punch two different directions. Now, if this stuff is really tough, you won't be able to break out at all. There are three options. I'll say weak, medium, and strong. So your escape strength might be weak, it might be medium, or it might be strong. And depending on which one, you're going to have a different shape. Weak means you're going to have enclosed. That means you were not able to break out. You're still in the bubble. Weak happens when b squared minus 4ac, actually let me write it over here so you can see a little more easily. Let me just move this over. So b squared minus 4ac is less than 0 if it's negative. Then this would be enclosed. I'll explain that in a minute. So basically you tried to beat your way out of this bubble, you failed. You're still trapped completely in the bubble. Can we name the two shapes that seem to describe that? Circle and ellipse. Right, they have no openings. You weren't able to break out. So this would be either a circle or ellipse. It doesn't tell you which one immediately, but at least you know it's enclosed. If you have weak escape strength below 0, you know it's a circle or ellipse. If it's medium escape strength, if b squared minus 4ac is exactly equal to 0, if it's just barely 0, that means it breaks out once. Not exactly sure what mental image to use on that. It's kind of like saying you're not strong enough to just sort of elbow your way out, but if you take both fists and go, all right, fine, I'm just going to go kabam, and you finally manage to break one hole. You break one way out. If the thing opens up in one direction, what shape does that remind you of? Good. Parabola. That's a parabola. And strong, let's just say you come moseying up to the bubble and say, bubble, that's funny. Super strong, pow, and you open up two openings, in one with one fist, one with the other. What does that remind you of? Hyperbola. Because it opens up in two different ways. So if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, you can have a hyperbola. So it breaks twice. So you escape in two different directions if you like, or you have your choice. Does that make sense? So that's the first diagnostic. Run b squared minus 4ac and see what kind of shape you're dealing with. If it's the first category, you'll have another choice to make. Is it a circle or an ellipse? If it's the second choice, you know it's a parabola. If it's the third choice, you know it's a hyperbola. So can somebody tell me, in this particular example, what's b squared minus 4ac? Josh, what's b? It's 3, correct. So it's going to be 3 squared minus, keep going.
4 times 5.
4 times 5 times 4. Simplify.
9 minus
80. What is 9 minus 80? Negative 71. Okay. The escape strength, the discriminant rather, which category did it fall into? Weak, medium, or strong? Weak. This thing is weak. This thing is enclosed. That means we know it's either a circle or an ellipse. We don't know which yet. But we'll find out in a minute. But does everybody see it cannot be a parabola and it cannot be a hyperbola? Now let's find out what it is. If it has weak strength, write this down. The question is it a circle or an ellipse? There are two things to remember. First, I stole this from my high school math teacher. I stole a lot from him. Quote unquote, circles are allergic to bees. Which I thought was cute. It'd be, yeah, you get it. Circles are allergic to bees. What does that mean? In math language, that means if B is there at all, if it's not 0, it cannot be a circle. So what do you think? What shape is this? Here, go ahead. Gotta be an ellipse. This thing has to be an ellipse. So B is not 0. Circles are allergic to bees, and there's a bee, so the circle is going to run for its life. That means this thing has to be an ellipse. That's actually going to be the answer you put on your paper, and you're done. All you need to find is what shape this thing is. Okay? The second thing is, if B is equal to 0, then find the shape like normal. You can just look at it. Look at the coefficients, you know, etc. Because if there's no B term, if there's no XY term, then it's back to the good old fashioned. Look at it, see how many are squared, see if the coefficients are the same, see if there's a minus sign in there, that sort of thing. Does that make sense? So this is kind of an emergency situation for if you have this weird BXY term. Here's how you find the shape. Use B squared minus 4AC to find the escape strength. If the escape strength is 0 or if it's positive, your work's done. You just find the category. If it's less than 0, then you have to decide. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you. Then you decide if there's a B, got to be an ellipse. If there's not a B, then look back at this thing. If there's not a B, then you wouldn't even have had to use this in the first place. That kind of make sense? So if there is a B and it's weak, you know it's an ellipse. Does that boil it down? Does that make sense? Love that part. Let me grab the worksheet for you. There it is. I do have to explain something. This is a teeny bit weird. Some textbooks, instead of X and Y, they use the letters U and V. Let me explain. I would strongly recommend that you just rewrite it, like the very first thing you do. Let me show you. Like on problem number, let's find something that's really weird. Look at number 9. Problem number 9. First of all, does everybody can this? Okay. This should be on YouTube tonight, so if you missed the notes, let me know. Here's the key. Replace u with x and replace v with y. I would just rewrite the entire thing. And be careful, the computer sometimes puts a dot there instead of a just snugging it up. I think I know why. Like for number 9, it says minus 2 radical 3 uv. They didn't want the uv to look like it was under the square root. So I do understand why they did that. But number 9 should look like this. 5 what? You tell me. Yeah. 5x squared. And I'm going to do plus negative. Plus negative what? Katie. Times what? xy. Put the 2 radical 3 in parentheses so nobody has to worry about the xy being underneath. And then keep going.
Plus 7.
Good. Equals 0. Good. That's the transformed version. We'll do this one together. Can somebody tell me the value of a? Becca. Yeah. Remember, it's a x squared. By the way, if you don't remember the order, they go in descending powers and in alphabetical order. They have all the degree 2 things first, like 2 x's, 1x, 1y, and 2 y's. All of those are degree 2. Then they have the degree 1s in alphabetical order. Then they have the no letters at all. So a is 5. Keep going, okay, what is b?
2 radical 3, or
Negative 2 radical 3. What's c?
7.
7. This is what? Joe. That's f. And what is f? Like, what's the value of f in this particular problem? Correct. Negative 160. So we notice we do not need the letter f for b squared minus 4ac. It's useful. By the way, I'll tell you what this thing actually does. A, B, and C, this will determine the shape and the size, and this is kind of weird, and the rotation. We're not going to do that in this class unless we have time. But this bxy term is the rotation term. If there is an xy term, that means it's no longer straight up and down. That means it's rotated a certain number of degrees, clockwise or counterclockwise. There's a whole extra chapter we could do on graphing these things. I'm not going to do it because it takes forever. But can somebody find the shape for me? B squared minus 4ac. Let me see. Blade, help me out. What's b? Negative 2 radical 3, parentheses squared. Minus 4 times
5 times 7.
Good. What's negative 2 radical 3 when you square it? Anyway. Yeah, go ahead.
4 times 3.
Yeah, negative 2 squared is 4 times 3, which is
12.
12. Does that make sense? You can, if they're multiplied, you can square square. If there's a plus there, you can. So 12 minus what?
20 times 7.
Yeah, which is 140. What's 12 minus 140? Good. Negative 128. What is your verdict on what the shape is? You should be able to tell me decisively. How do you know it's an ellipse? 2 reasons. Yeah, the strength is less than 0, so it's enclosed. How do you know it's not a circle? There's a B term, correct. If there's a B term, it cannot be a circle. So this thing must be an ellipse. Does that make sense? Alrighty. We are here until 2:10, so you have a better part of a half hour. Are there any questions on the graphing diagonal hyperbolas? I have about 5 minutes if you want to go through one of those. Anybody feeling nervous and or, I'm not sure what the word is, grumpy about diagonal hyperbola? You okay now? Cruising? Going once? Honestly? Twice? Alright. Okay, so the rest of the hour is yours. Do look at the worksheet though. 1 through 10 is just give the categories. 11 through 14 are review problems. You need to use double complete the square to get the right shape, or single complete the square if it's a parabola. Somebody tell me, what's the shape for number 11? There are no XY terms on these graphing ones, so that's the good news. What shape is number 11? Yeah,
Hyperbola?
that's a hyperbola. How do you know?
X and Y are both squared,
Oh.
but one of them is negative.
Right, X and Y are both squared, but one of them is negative. Which letter is the leader?
One
The Y is the leader. Why do you say that? No pun intended.
Forms, the negative afterwards.
Right, it's a subtraction problem. So it's positive minus the other thingy. So it's going to be y squared minus x squared. If y is the leader, which way is this hyperbola opening? Nick? Up and down. Correct. And the vertices are going to be up and down, and the foci are going to be up and down, yada, yada, yada. Okay, what shape, just for fun, what shape is number 12? Is that one? Josh, what shape is number 12? That's a parabola. How do you know?
It's just the y squared.
Only the y is squared. What letter is the leader? How do you find out what's the leader for a parabola? Okay. Like y equals x squared, the leader's y. But not necessarily because it's in front. There's one other thing that gives it away. I mean, it's great if it's in front. It's supposed to be there. Yeah.
That's the square root.
Actually, it's because it's the leader is whichever letter is not squared. Correct. So number 12, what's the leader? X. What kind of a parabola is this? Up, down, or left, right? It's left, right. Get x by itself, and you'll be able to tell whether the thing is going up, down, or left, right. Number 13, what shape? Katie.
Circle.
That's a circle. How do you know?
Both are squared and same coefficient.
Yeah, both are squared, same coefficient. Number 14, what shape is that? Becca.
So,
That's an ellipse. How do you know that?
so both squared by different coefficients.
Yeah, both are squared and positive, but different coefficients. Good. So for number 11, you'll need to double complete the square. There's not a heck of a lot there. You notice only the x is squared. There's no other x term. Pretend there's a 0x in there. That'll help. Number 12 is a parabola, so you just do a regular complete the square. 13 is a double complete the square for another circle. And 14 is a double complete the square for ellipse. Everybody feeling okay? All yours. Now, technically, this is not due tomorrow because half the class is gone. You can thank them for their service. And then this will technically be due on Monday, the whole thing. Yeah.
I was just gonna ask if you want to do the whole thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the whole thing, but do it for Monday. And we'll go through any questions people have tomorrow on this and on the diagonal. The diagonal hyperbola thing is due tomorrow, and then this thing is due on Monday. Make sense? All right, go to it. Call me over if you get stuck, or come on over. Otherwise, see ya. Right, not see you later. I'll be seeing you for the next half hour. But people on the web here, see y'all later.